Hey, good evening everyone, and welcome to DTR Division 5. We're back after a week's break. Everyone's ready and raring to go. We had a good Nations Cup in our break week, but we won't talk about that because England lost. So we're back for round 7. We're in Great Britain, and you are with us for a sprint race. For those of you who are unsure how the sprint formats work, we have a short qualifying which lasts 18 minutes, followed by a race that is a third of the full race, so about 9 laps I think it is around Silverstone, and then we move into the full race, which is, I believe it's 26 laps. We'll check it when it starts, but we have some cars starting to go out on track. Let's just get our map sorted, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jens Hoffer that's gone out first. He loves going out first. Yeah, it's him. So as per every week, we'll stick on board with Jens. There we go. We'll stick on board with Jens. We'll take you around a lap of Silverstone, and then we'll jump on board with some of the other drivers and see how they're progressing with their laps. We'll have a couple of break points where we can talk about the championship in Division 5 so far. I'll go through the previous race results, in which the Alfa Romeos actually had a very good race last time out. And then we'll go through the championship table, just to remind you where we're at. But we'll stick with Jens for now, as he's about to come through onto the pit straight. Gets a little bit of a waggle out of the last corner. Might just lose a little bit of speed into turn 1. But so far looks neat and tidy, as there's a couple of chicanes to start the lap, this being the tighter one of the two. And you come out round onto the first straight, but Jens has invalidated, so the car behind him is Big Up Cam. No, it's not Big Up Cam. I think it's not Nelboy. It must be Bob, but he's not on a hot lap. It's one of the Red Bulls then. It's Gunter, I think. Yeah, we'll follow Gunter then, because he hasn't invalidated. So come through into another chicane. Got to be careful with the traction out of this corner. He looks pretty neat through there, and onto the old pit straight. And it's not quite flat through Stowe. You have to give it a little bit of a lift. And then you come through Maggots and Beckett's, probably the fastest corners on the track. And you've got to carry as much speed down the hanger straight as possible. You can see Gunter using all of the track. As the hanger straight ends with another high speed right hander. And a chicane to finish the lap, which the exit of this corner can be quite hard to get some traction, but he looks like he's done it well, and he starts with a 1:29.2. So Gunter, after a good Baku, puts it on provisional pole. First guy to finish the lap. We've got a McLaren coming round. I think it's Ryan. He did a 1:04.2 by the end of sector 2, and he's going to come round, and I think that's probably going to be enough for pole if he's kept it good in sector 3, sorry, and he has. 1:28.6. Got a Haas coming over the line now, and I think it's Tom to start his lap. Runs very wide and invalidates, so let's have a look. Who else have we got? We've got a Alpha Tauri. That's an invalid lap though. Who else have we got? Brandon puts it on provisional pole with a 28.5. We're watching Cass now, just finishing the hanger straight. Coming around to finish off sector 3. As Dopey Man – improves on that provisional pole with a 28.4. We've got Cass, who's had a strong last few races. Comes out with a 28.8, puts him in 4th for now. Let's have a look and see. Yes, jump on board with Wardy. He won in Baku after a string of DNFs. As Bog puts it on pole. Good luck from him. 128.3. That'll be interesting. See if he can stick that out. But let's see what Wardy can do as he goes through Maggots Beckett's. Now onto the hanger straight. Bit tentative on the accelerator there. I think he's backed out. So it might be on an in lap. Let's have a look at Reliot. Giving his teammate a bit of stick today. Little Mikey's not here. So he's got to hold the Ferrari. Hold the Ferrari fort for the day. He's got Skipper joining him as a reserve. It won't help from a constructor's point of view. But it looks like Reliot is about to come on to a hot lap. So we'll stick with him and see how he gets on. Oh, he's covered in. Bad timing. Didn't see. And it's probably because I haven't got the timing details up. That would help, wouldn't it? There we go. Now I might know who's actually on a lap and who's not. So we have Skipper. Has he just started a lap? I think he might be on an in lap. Let's just see if we can see his RS. His RS is flashing, so he'll be on an in lap. So pretty much everyone's in the pit. Jens is on his way in. He managed to set a time that gets him 3rd. We've got Big Up Cam, who's lost it through the 3rd corner, I think. Trying to rejoin the track. So let's jump on board with Nellboy. I think he's just starting a hot lap. Shout out to our Division 1 commentator. Let's see what he can do. He's a title challenger. Be good to see him getting that back on track. As I think we might have seen some cracks in Racing Ryan's title push. He was absolutely dominant for the first part of the season, but at Baku just got into a little bit of trouble, and it was the first time he looked like he had any sort of pressure on him. So let's see what Nellboy can do as he puts in a purple first sector, so a good start from him. A little bit of a lift off around there, you have to keep the car within the track limits. Very tidy, he's using all the curbs there, and that's a great exit. He's going to carry all that additional speed down the straight now. And it's a purple sector 2, so this is looking very good for Nellboy. And he's putting his teammate under some pressure. Comes around the final couple of corners. Gets the apex, gets his foot down. And he's into the 127s. It's a 127.9, so we've finally seen a pole lap. You're welcome. Well done, Nellboy. And that's the 2 Alpines in 1st and 2nd. Be interesting to see if that stays like that. Bog will do a brilliant job of just holding everyone else up. But let's have a look and see who else is on a lap. We've got Skipper, who's on a lap, who is reserving again tonight. I think he's reserved in every race for us so far this year. He's had some really good results, so let's see what he can pull out of the bag. 1.2 seconds behind as it stands. So he's a 10th up on his time. Needs another 10th through this last sector to improve up to 8. Runs a bit deep into the corner, but recovers it on exit. So hopefully that hasn't punished him too much. Takes a little bit too much curb, but again he's okay. He's got the car going, and there is a car in the wall of Milko, I assume, as Skipper does improve. He's up to 8. We've got BB Boldy that's out, and Milko, I think that was, that we saw on the pit straight, is now out, so he will not improve. But I think Dopey Man has just got onto a flying lap to see what he can do. It's a 128.4, so that doesn't improve him. Stays in 3rd. don't think this is a hot lap from Jens. But I think he'd be going out into one now, so let's stick with him. We didn't get to see much of him at the start. As he comes round. Is he starting it now? I think he is. Gets nice and tight to that first turn. You can gain so much speed by being brave through there. Again, clips the apex. Got to be careful on the power out of here, but does it very well. You can hear the upshifts to keep the traction out of the corner. Very neat and tidy sector 1. Will he go purple? He does. So he's putting Nailboy under pressure already. Just misses the apex, but shouldn't cost him too much. And it's a good exit. On his way down the old pit straight. Let's see how he takes Stowe. Yeah, very tidy. Just flicked it down into 7th gear to keep his momentum going. Does it again. He's hit the apexes perfectly. This is looking like a really good lap from Jens so far. He cuts the corner and he's 4/10ths up on his previous time. He needs to find another 10th in sector 3. It is a purple sector 2. Can he just hook up these last few corners? Just jump on board with him. You want to just be clipping that sausage curb on the inside of the first corner, not the second. But he gets his foot down. Oh, he's just put it into second. And it's 700ths out from Nell. Another good lap. And he sees him in second. So a good lap from Jens, just couldn't hook up the third sector. That's where he lost the time. He was purple in the first and second. So Nailboy's obviously nailed that third sector. Haven't seen any of Brandon yet, so let's jump on board with him as he's making his way down towards the hangar straight, I believe. Yeah, DRS is open. And he's got his light flashing, so he's not on a lap. Benny Buno's on his way into the pits. Have a bit of a spin, but he is down on his times marginally. So it's half a second down on his time now, but he is 18 seconds back. So Cav looks like he is coming in. He's invalidated his lap. Racing Ryan could be on a hot lap. Let's have a look. I think he is. And he's just started the lap. He's just finished sector 1. He doesn't go purple. You could just see the slide out of there. It's not easy to get it right. Should be taking a wide line. He does. Gets it hooked up, and his air's light is flashing. So I think he's pulled out of the lap. You can see Cam did improve on his time. He's invalidated this one, so he won't be going again. And I don't think we've got anyone out on a hot lap yet. So we haven't seen. I think we saw Kasser a little bit earlier. So let's just see. He's early on in his lap. So Skipper. Gunther will probably be the next one to start a lap, unless Ryan comes round again, but I think he's gone in the pits. Yeah, he has. So we will jump on board with Gunther, see what he can do. Currently sat in 10th. So he comes round onto the pit straight to start his lap. Not the best camera angle to see into turn 1 there. Nice and tight through turn 3. He gets good momentum out into turn 4 and onto the back straight. So it's looked good. Looks tidy. Sector 1. Didn't go purple, but it still looks like a good opening. We know that Nell. Oh, and he's put it round. See, just. If you get too greedy on the power there, it's exactly what can happen to you. Let's see if Cass could do any better. He's still warmed his tyres up, so he's assuming finishing his out lap. I wonder if he went round twice to warm his tyres up. So that was a very aggressive line there from Cass, and it was a very good line. Said earlier, you can gain so much time for getting the right line. He's got a Haas in front of him. I hope that's not holding him up. He's not really moved out of the way, and Cass has had to pull out the lap. So I'm sure he will take that to the stewards later. Not sure who it was. Cav is in the area. It may well have been him. Yeah, because Tom is coming round to start a lap. And let's stick on board with him. He's not done any laps so far, or not got a time in anyway. So let's see what Tom can do as he comes round into turn one. Doesn't take the same tight line that we've seen the others take, so a little bit untidy through there, but he's done well through turns 3 and 4, which is important for your exit onto the back straight. I think he'll be aiming to get into the top 10. Just to hug the apex. Decides to run it a little bit wider to get a good exit, which he does. As he comes around onto the old pit straight. Throws the car through Stowe. And off towards Maggots and Beckett. Just runs a little bit wide, but has regained the inside lines now. So he has corrected himself. So interested to see where he's going to come out. Can he break into that top 10? That's what he'll be aiming for. Again, just runs it a little bit wide. Good on the power out of there. Cuts as much of the track off as he can. It puts him in 13th, puts him ahead of BB Boldy and big up Cam. I think Cav is now on his lap. Let's see what he can do. He hasn't set a time yet. So the two Haas boys are, don't know if they're saving tyres, not sure. Not sure they need to with the sprint race. You get 3 sets of softs in short qualifying when there's a sprint race. 1 set of softs for the sprint if you choose to use them. You don't have to pit in the sprint race. And then you get 1 of each compound for the feature race, which I've been told by the drivers that there is a chance of rain in the main race, not the sprint. So that could spice the race up a little bit. But we'll watch Cav come over the line, and then we'll jump on with some of these other drivers just behind. We've got a Red Bull that's going to follow him in, which will be Dopey Man. So he sets a 129, puts him 11th. Dopey Man's in the pits, so he's not going to set a lap. We've got a Mercedes about to come round. It's Brandon. Was provisional pole earlier in the day, and he can put it 4th. We've got Guncher, who has finished his lap. Who have we got now? We've got a Haas coming in, just as was it? Who was it with? Cav spins it. We know Guncher's finished. I think that's it then. Cam's invalidated, so I think that's it. Other than maybe Jens, let's check him. Just come over the line, I think. So yeah, that is qualifying finish then, and that's your order for your sprint race. Just to run through that order, Nellboy, I think in the end, I think he's even improved on his time, to be honest. I must have missed that because Jens is 3/10 back. So 1:27.7, a brilliant lap from Nell. And actually, I think probably the only person to put it into the 27. So he's going to be hard to beat in the race. But he's got that sort of pace advantage. But Nellboy in P1, Jens in P2, and Racing Ryan in 3rd, and that is pretty much the championship battle, I think. Doing a bit of a disservice to the likes of Dopey Man and Brandon there, I think. And Cass, because I think they are also in the race, but for the title. But Nellboy will start on pole for this sprint. Jens in 2nd, Racing Ryan 3rd, Brandon 4th, Dopey Man in 5th, and brilliant qualifying from Bog in 6th. Wardy in 7th after his win in Baku last time out. Guncher in 8th, he picked a podium up in Baku as well, and Cass in 9th. Benny Bruno in 10th. And then just to complete the grid, in 11th we've got Cav, followed by our reserve skipper, Reliot in 13th, Tom in 14th, BB Baldy, another reserve today in 15th, big up Cam, another reserve today in 16th, and Milko didn't set a time, we saw him in the pit wall. So just lost it out of that last corner. So I think this gives us a good opportunity because they're going to have a formation lap at the start of the sprint race. Be a good opportunity just to remind ourselves what happened in the previous race, and that was in Baku. Quite a lot of carnage from memory, and we had a bit of a shuffled grid. But if I remember rightly, Wardy took the win, and it was a very dominant performance considering that he'd DNF'd, I think, pretty much every race before that. So a dominant performance from him, and showing that if he keeps it on track, he's got the pace to win. And Günther ended in second. And Jens Hoffer took a very important podium for his championship fight, especially with the fact that Racing Ryan didn't finish in the points in the end. I think he made a mistake towards the end of the race after a safety car restart. But Jordan, his McLaren teammate, ended in fourth. Nelboy added to his points total in fifth. Milko finished in sixth. Hayward, who's not here tonight, finished seventh. Cass in eighth. Reliot came in ninth and picked up some points. And then Bog hung it out in 10th to take the final point. So that was the Baku race. That was round 6, just before the Nations Cup break. And then when the sprint race finishes, I'll talk through the table, remind you of where we're at from a standings point of view. But for now, let's concentrate on the sprint race. Get this set up. We'll have a look at tyres. Some people might have fancied taking a punt on softs, but nope, whole field are on mediums, which is a bit disappointing. Would have liked to have seen one person go for it, but it's understandable. I think the mediums are going to be the quickest tyre that definitely get you to the end, so it's understandable why everyone's taking that choice. So our top 5 are all from different teams. We've got the Alpine, Alfa Romeo, we've got a McLaren, Mercedes and a Red Bull. We then have Nelboy's teammate Bog in 6th in the Alpine, Wardy, Jens' teammate, in 7th, Günther, who's Dopeyman's teammate, in 8th, and then we've got the 2 Aston Martins making it the top 10 in Cass and Benny. And we know Benny likes to run an alternate strategy, so it'll be interesting to see what he does in the main race. I would expect to see him go out on the hards. Might not do it now he's qualified in midfield. He may want to take the softer compound to try and get a good a good start off the line. But yeah, we will see. We've got a sprint race to concentrate on for now. We've got Nelboy about to take his position on the grid. We'll put this on penalties because I'm sure they'll come into play. It's definitely a track where if you can stay penalty free, times will come back to you. Not the best camera angle to see the whole grid, but it's good enough to see the front runners as the lights are starting to go on. We're at 5 lights and away they go. Nelboy a little bit slow off the start. Racing Ryan's got a brilliant start and he's just going to split the front 2 and he takes the lead immediately with Jens nipping up the inside, but Nelboy manages to rocket round the outside and keep that place from Jens, but Jens is now fighting it back. Nelboy's going to get the inside line, but Jens will get the better traction with the wider line as Nelboy goes a little bit sideways. And I think Jens has got it done, and Brandon is also going to try and make that move around the outside of Nell. So has Nell dropped 3 places? He has. He now has to settle for 4th. Dopeyman remains in 5th. Wardy, I think, is up a place into 6th. Cass makes it up into 7th place, and then we've got Cav, who's had a lightning start, up into 8th. Bogger's lost out off the start and he's back in 9th, and Benny is where he started. So just to remind you, the top top 10. So Racing Ryan, he makes up some places. Let's join it, as that is Benny Buno, who manages to push Bog off. Has Bog gone? He's managed to just keep it out the wall. Looked a bit frisky, that move. It was a bit of a Hamilton Verstappen moment. But Bog survives as Wardy is straight on the back of Dopey Man, but just trying to get these positions gained, and we'll just keep an eye on this battle quickly, as Wardy hasn't quite got the pace, but we can see a Red Bull further down the field. I think it's just pulled out of that move. He has, but he's getting pressure from Tom Putty, who's looking to try and make a move around the outside. And Guncher gets a good exit and covers it off. So Nailboy's probably the closest man on track. He's just trying to track down Brandon to get some of these places back. So Racing Ryan off to a fantastic start, and he's also broke a second and a half already from Jens. Nailboy looking frustrated behind Brandon. And, we want to get past as soon as possible. He doesn't want to let Ryan get away from him. So Ryan up 2 places. Jens maintains his position, even though he did get a good start. We've got Cav that's managed to get round Cass, who's lost 2 places here. He's got a really bad exit. I wonder if he's made a bit of a mistake. And it's also let Guncher by. So Cass is dropping down the field. He's just trying to fight this one back by keeping his nose in there, and he's pushed Guncher round, who's had a spin. It's unfortunate for Guncher. He looked like he'd made a good move, but Cass wanted to keep his nose in there. And again, probably one the stewards will want to talk about later. So, was just going through, as you can see that the first penalty has come out for BV Boldy. So, Racing Ryan already up 2 places. Jens is just reeling him back in a little bit, but Brandon is losing touch with Jens. Nailboy just a little bit further back now from Brandon. Hasn't lost the DRS zone, as Dopey Man and Wardy are at it again. And Wardy, I think, has spun, and it's put Cav out of the race. I think he's hit. I think he managed to hit the person that spun. I think he managed to hit Wardy, who spun. And Wardy is pulling up. He's waiting for the traffic to go. And we've got a car that's stopped on track. I wonder if it was maybe for an illegal overtake or something. I'm not sure, but people seem to have stopped on track. We've got a yellow flag, and we've got a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure what that was for, I missed it, but there was also a speed in the pit lane for Wardy. So the safety car is out. It's picked up Ryan before he's gone round. So a couple of cars in the pits, and a bit of a mess really, just up the back end of the hangar straight. And it was caused by I think it was Guncher and, was it Guncher? It might have been Dopey Man, sorry. Dopey Man and Wardy. I think Wardy was making a move on Dopey Man, and they touched Wardy. I don't think he completely lost it, but he did then collect Cav on the way through. And then that caused a bit of carnage in behind, and you could see Elliott was trying to stop on the track. I wonder if he'd just got an illegal overtake or something to try and let someone back through, but everyone else behind him ended up going in the pit. So he hasn't got a penalty for it though. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure we'll hear about it after the race. But again, another opportunity just to talk to you about the start of the race. So Racing Ryan off the line really, really well. As you can see that Nailboy just got a little bit bogged down off the line. Jens took advantage of Nailboy, but couldn't cover off Racing Ryan. Nailboy tried to hang it round the outside, and just couldn't quite gain that position, which compromised him onto the back straight. Brandon took advantage of it, and he's up a place. So Nailboy down 3 positions. We know he's got the pace. He qualified 3/10 up on anyone else, so he can just hook it up and keep his head down. He can make his way back up, especially now the safety car will have reeled Racing Ryan back in, but he's going to have to get past these 2 very quickly, and they're not easy to pass. Got Dopey Man in 5th. He hasn't moved a position. Saw him get a bit tangled with Wardy. Didn't catch the full view of it, but it looked like Wardy was trying to make a move on him. Maybe a bit opportunistic, but maybe unfair because didn't get to see it fully. But Benny Buno has made up some places. He's up into 6th. And Cass, his teammate, we saw him. It looked like he made a bit of a mistake onto the back straight and then got tangled with Guncher, and Guncher went round. So again, I think he's probably going to be looked at the end of the race. Tom Putty's a big mover. He's up 6 places. So great start from him. Milko's up 8 places after not being able to set a time in qualifying. So to find himself in the top 10 and 1 place out of the points for the sprint race. He'll be very happy with that return. Skipper up 2 places, been a solid reserve for us this year, so might even find himself in for a promotion next year. You never know. Saw Bog managed to get tangled up round, I think it was into Stowe. Bit of a Max Verstappen and a Hamilton moment really. But Bog, with the skill he's got, managed to keep it out of the wall. Can't remember who he tangled with, but again, maybe one that stewards might be looking at after the race, but I'm not sure. Could be deemed a racing incident. We'll have to have a look at the views from the drivers. Reliot, I think he got into a little bit of bother maybe in that crash with Wardy and Guncher, but he survived it. He's still there. He's up a place. He's going to be looking forward. BV Boldy, another one of our reserves. He's up 2 places. He was the first person to pick up a penalty, but as you can see, there's some people that have joined him. Guncher was unfortunate to have a spin, but he's gone in, picked up some soft tyres. So let's see what he can do for these last 5 laps. See if he can somehow pull his way up into the points. With Wardy, who's also come in, he's picked up some soft tyres. Be interesting to see his viewpoint on the move on Dopey Man. Safety car's in this lap, and then Big Up Cam makes up the field. He's in the place that he started, and then we have Cav, who's DNF'd. So let's join Racing Ryan. We know he's very good at the restarts, as he's you can see everyone's weaving, try and warm their tyres up ahead of the restart. And if I was to put my money down, he will probably do it after the second corner of the chicane, because it's a hard traction area, so everyone's going to be a bit nervous to put their foot down. So I think he's going to go now, and he has. And Jens probably being a little bit tentative, and he's got Brandon all over the back of him already. I think Jens does sometimes struggle just to get his tyres up to temperature, and it's also pushing Nellboy behind Brandon. So this could be an interesting couple of laps to watch these two. I don't think there's any closer battles on track. Let's join on board with Nell, because we'll be able to see what happens as Brandon spins it. Brandon spins it. Oh no. I'm not sure what would cause him to do that out of that corner. I wonder if he just dropped it a gear and lost the back end. But, well, Nellboy will say thank you very much. And he's now got to get back within that second of Jens for when the DRS opens. He's not going to have many laps. Not going to have many laps. But Benny Buno's now putting pressure on Dopey Man, and he does make the move stick. So Dopey Man maybe caught nothing a little bit there, and he's now got Benny's teammate for company behind him. Big Up Cam picks up another 3-second penalty as we watch this battle, and Cass has got a really good exit, but just had to get out the power a little bit, I think, just to make sure that he didn't run into the back of Dopey Man. And it doesn't look like he's making gains, so I wonder if Dopey Man has got some low wings, which is helping him in a straight line, which may be why it didn't help him through Stowe. But Cass is now trying to line up a move on him. Not close enough this time. Just get a solid exit as the two at the front put in the fastest laps. Nellboy dropped a 10th back, so not quite got the same pace as he did in quali. Might be something to do with the medium tyres, but he really needs to try and make up that second if he can, as Cass continues to put the pressure on Dopey Man, and he's almost pushing him around the track. Just got to be careful. He's been involved in one incident today. Just don't force anything else to happen, as Tom Putty is actually putting pressure on Cass now, so he's going to have to go into defence mode. Tom decides not to put it up the inside. There is a yellow flag. It's at the back. I think it's Big Up Cam. As you can see that Tom is trying to take a bit of a wider line to get a better exit, and we might see him try to make a move down into Stowe. Let's jump on board with Tom, so we can see both cars in front of him. He's not going to be close enough to make a move here. Just gets a bit scared on the turn-in, so let's jump up with Cass. He's dropped back a little bit now. It's unfortunate. Tom is in the points. We'll be happy with that, as Nellboy just manages to get back in within that second. I haven't seen that DRS is back on, but if it isn't, it will be on this lap. And Jens has managed to keep within a second of Racing Ryan this time, so That battle at the front is going to be one worth jumping up to in a minute, I think. Let's just see if Cass can get any closer to Dopey Man before we do. And there you go, DRS is enabled. Nelboy puts in the fastest lap now, so he is putting some pressure on. As I think Guncher is in the pits, which has let BB Boldy and the Wally through. Something's happened to BB Boldy though. He's had a spin into the last chicane. And I don't think that Cass is getting any closer here, so I'm going to jump back up with Nelboy and see if he can make any inroads into this lead. As BB Boldy gets back underway, and he does take Guncher in the pits. Big Up Cam's also gone in the pits, and we've got Nelboy who's just put in a purple first sector, so he's on the charge. And you can see that Jens is going defensive now because he's dropped nearly out of a second of Racing Ryan. Both of these will not want to drop that second, so they don't want to be fighting too hard. But obviously Nelboy, from his point of view, is going to have to get this done so that he can get after Racing Ryan. So neat through there and gets a really good exit. Now, has he got the straight line speed? As you can see that Jens has got his DRS open, Nelboy too. And it can become a bit of a DRS train around here if you're not careful. I'm just going to jump on with Skipper. He looks like he's closing down on Milko and wanted to make a move there. Milko's is flashing, so Skipper will fancy this. He's got Bog behind him. So good race from Bog. Got off to a bit of a sticky start and recovered after getting nudged off the track. But Nelboy is ever closer. Let's just get back on with him. As we go through turn 3, turn 4, it's all about the exit out of here. And if he can get a good exit, which it looks like he has, this is the first DRS zone. Jens will get protection from him having DRS. As Nelboy does a little bit of a fake move. Doesn't put Jens off, but Nelboy's really starting to put the pressure on now. As Cass looks a little bit closer to Dopey Man as well, but we're going to stick on with Nelboy, and he's going to love the fact that Jens's light is flashing. That hanger straight, he's going to be in a bit of trouble, I think. But Nelboy's got to get it done this lap to allow him to try and get after Racing Ryan, but he's broken the second, and Nelboy looks close. I think they've both got a good exit, but it looks like Nelboy has catapulted off. His DRS is open. You can see Jens doesn't have it this lap, and that's going to make this a little bit easier as Nelboy is round the outside, hits the apex perfectly on the exit and jumps up into second place. And now we'll go after Ryan, but got a second to find. He's not going to have DRS into the first zone, so it's going to be hard work. Let's just have a quick look at Cass has got through on Dopey Man, so we've missed that. I think that must have happened as Nelboy was making his move, as Tom Putty is now putting pressure on Dopey Man, so he's coming under pressure at the end of this race after looking reasonably comfortable, and he managed to fend off Wardy off earlier, but he's now got Tom Putty all over him. He's trying to make a move onto the inside of turn 4, and there's a yellow flag. Can't see quite where that is. We'll stick on board with this battle as Nelboy's not made any inroads and Jens looks like he's dropping back, and I think Milko might have been the yellow flag. He's dropped back into 11th. Tom is starting to just drop back a little bit. If he can just neaten up a few corners, like he's definitely got the pace. You can just see that there's a mistake in there, like once a lap. If he can remove that mistake, I think he can start pushing up onto the top 5 really. He's solid driver, Tom. Gets a good exit onto that last corner, which gives him a good exit. Again, if he could make those first two a little bit neater. But we're about to finish the sprint, so let's jump on board with our leader, which is Racing Ryan, who's again, I've said it quite a lot this year, who's dominated from the start. He got off to a brilliant start. And Nelboy fights his way back to second after a bit of a poor start. Jens Hoffer in third. Benny Buno from 10th up into 4th. Cass also makes it 4 places into 5th. But his penalties will cost him, and it drops into 7th. Dopey Man 5th. Tom in 6th. Brilliant race from Tom. And Skipper, our reserve, comes home for the last points of the sprint race, and Relliot's had a really good sprint race as well, gets himself up to 9th. So wherever they finish in the sprint, they will start the main race, and again might have a bit of rain in there. That'd be lovely to see, I think, see how the drivers cope with that. But there's been some really good drives out there. I think there's been a few incidents that the stewards might want to have a quick look at, but on the whole, some good racing. And Benny Bruno, yeah, I think that's fair enough, coming from 10th. And I think he might have been the person that had a bit of a fight with Boggs, so we'll see if that 4th place holds up once the stewards have had a look later in the day. So I suppose the big one of the day is Brandon. We saw him have a spin. He's going to start 11th for this race. Bog lost some places. We saw him manage to keep out of the wall, so he did well to do that. Not too much else to report. Gunther did have a spin, and we saw that Cav was out of the race quite early on. So it's going to be an interesting race for the main race. As we'll just take this moment in time to talk a little bit about the championship standings so far, and you can sort of relay what's just happened into that sprint race into the table. So Racing Ryan, he leads the championship. He's on 103 points, and I don't know whether he was starting to show some cracks at Baku, but he finished 13th after dominating the race really. So we'll see if he can get back on track today. I think if he doesn't, it's going to start opening this championship up a little bit. So I think he'll be feeling a little bit of pressure going into today's race, but he's had a great start in the sprint. So Nell Boy's in second on 71 points, who's been pretty solid all year. He's had a couple of DNFs, but otherwise he's been sniffing around that podium. So he's had 2 podiums, 4th and a 5th. We've then got Jens Hoffer, who, and I think that's actually the 1, 2, 3 that we're going to be starting this race with. Jens Hoffer, who tends to be 3rd, 4th, or doesn't finish. So he's in 3rd on 62 points. He's been really solid this year, to be fair, and I don't think the DNFs from memory have really been his fault, to be honest. Dopey Man's in 4th. He's on 47 points, and he's tied with Cass behind him in 5th on 47 points. Dopey Man's had a bit of a struggle, so I think the break will have done him some good to come back. Saw him under a little bit of pressure at the end there in the sprint race, but he's a solid driver. I'm sure that he will continue, and if there's any mistakes in front of him, he will capitalise on it. And I think the opposite story for Cass, really. He's had a strong... I don't think he would have wanted the break to come with he finished in 1st in Austria, 2nd in Monza, and then 8th in Baku. So he had a strong sort of 3 races before the break. Brandon struggled all season, really. He's had 1 podium. Otherwise, not really much else to talk about. He's in 6th with 37 points. Racing Ryan's partner, Jordan, he's in 7th in the standings on 30 points. We've got Reap, who's not here tonight, unfortunately. He's on 30 points. And then Bog, who's Nell's teammate. He's in 9th and been pretty consistent this year, to be fair to him. He had a 4th in Australia. And then has scored points in every single race. So it's a great achievement. He's on 29 points in 9th. Cav in 10th, who we saw didn't quite make it to the end of the sprint, but again, he's had some sort of mid-table sort of finishes. He's had a couple of 5th places, otherwise been around sort of 10th place. He's on 29 points. Wardy has really accelerated up the table into 11th with his win at Baku. It comes off the back of 4 DNFs and then a 12th place finish. He's on 26 points. Skipper then is our reserve in 12th, who's managed to pick up 26 points this season. Gunther, who managed to get on the podium at Baku in 13th, he's on 25 points. Tom Putty in 14th, who is on 20 points. We've got Lil Mikey, who got his podium in the first race. Not too much to talk about since then. Who's on 18 points. We've got Jay Hayward, who has DNF'd in a couple of races. Hasn't been able to attend every single race. He's on 15 points in 16th. Benny Bruno in 17th, he has 11 points. Milko in 18th, he's got 6 points. We've then got a few reserve drivers. We've got Rayliat in 21st with 2 points, so he'll be looking for some points today. Just to cap off really the end of the main drivers, we've got Hims in 22nd on 2 points, and then P20, who's yet to get off the mark, and he's unfortunately not here tonight, so we won't see him. So that's your standings. So we've got 1, 2, 3 in the grid today. So it's definitely going to be an interesting race. Again, for those of you who are not aware, if you see disqualified there, it'll be because we've not got a good view of this. So we've got 5 lights. Away they go, and we'll flick the camera as Ryan gets off to a flying start. Nellboy has now got the inside line for this corner this time, as Jens manages to sneak through on him again. So Nellboy will drop a place, and we've got a couple of people dropping to the back of the grid. It looks like a Ferrari of Skipper, and we've got yellow flags out. I don't think it is a safety car, but Tom Putty looks like he's made his way up a place, and it's Dopey Man who's dropped to the back of the field as well, and Cass. So I wonder if they've had a coming together. Can't see all of the timings here, but we've got Milko. He's definitely not 0.1, so these timings are not looking perfect for me at the minute. Need that to try and sort itself out. We're gonna have to do it on visuals. So Racing Ryan looks like he's pulled out a nice gap. We've got Nellboy and Jens behind him. Jens managed to get Nellboy off the line. Benny Buno makes up a place, I believe. Let's see if we can get some position changes. So yeah, Jens up 1, Nellboy down 1, as we saw in the sprint race. Benny Buno keeps his 4th place. Tom Putty gains from the Dopey Man spin, and Milko's up 4 places. Rayliat's up 2 places, and I think he's going to want to add to his points tally, as we can see 3 wide behind Rayliat. So we'll go on board with Brandon. He's got a car either side of him. Wardy tries to stick it around the outside, but Brandon carries enough speed through the corner. I think Wardy is trying to keep his nose into the chicane. His nose is still in there, but Brandon gives him room. Good, fair racing, but Brandon keeps the place. Gunther was trying to do a bit of a Hamilton, I think, on those two, but the opportunity didn't arise, and he sits behind and waits for another moment. So these timings are not being my friend at the moment, so really sorry if I miss anything, but I think we have got a virtual safety car, and we've got a Ferrari, I think, that's gone round again. Not sure if he's got no wing, so I wonder if he's lost something, but we've definitely got yeah, Skipper's just got a drive-through for speeding under the virtual safety car. And are we going again? People look like they might have sped up, but we've got yellow flags still. No, I don't think they have. I think my eyes deceive me. So not sure when this rain is meant to come, if it will. It'd be interesting if it comes later in the race. Does look like there's some cloud about, but it was only a 23% chance, so it's not guaranteed to happen. But you can see Cav and Dopey Man at the back of the field. Let's do a quick check on tyres. So we did see Benny go on the hards. We saw Brandon try the alternate strategy as well. He was, I think he must have made up of 3 or 4 places. He has made 3 places, so that's a good start to his strategy. He's going to want to go long and then jump on the mediums later. Bog has also, as we go green, Bog has also decided to go on the hard tyre, and so Cav and Dopey Man have changed onto the hard tyre after pitting. So Racing Ryan off to a great restart. Nellboy still just trying to keep the pressure on Jens. We'll do a quick look down the field as Tom Putty makes a move on Benny. So and they've collided. Just caught the back end of that. I'm not sure what happened, but they got caught up. But you can see Tom coming back onto the track and nearly collects Brandon. Got to be so careful when you're rejoining the track. So Tom is back in 7th after whatever happened with Benny. Wardy is now on the back of him. DRS is open because it was just a virtual safety car. So Wardy is now going to have a look at Tom. Not close enough, but Gunther wants to have a little look on Wardy because he didn't make the move. And you can see that Bogorowski looks like he's trying to make a couple of moves. He takes a wide line on Big Up Cam and he makes the move. Brilliant move round the outside from Boggy. He's a little bit trapped though. Benny Buno's trapped him. We know Benny's got no wing, but great racing move from Bog there as a McLaren is going down the inside and he's spun. I don't know if he got contact. He's on his own, I think, so not sure if he got contact to make that happen. The yellow flags are out, can't see a safety car. I think BB Boldy will get himself going again as Benny is now going to drop places because he's got no wing. Sort of, he doesn't want to hold his teammate up really, and he's going to let him through, and I think he's going to get past Cam as well. But Benny's not yielding for his teammate, and his teammate might block his pit entry, I fear. No, he manages to find his way in. So let's just see if I've missed anything a little bit further up the field. So Milko, a big beneficiary, and Relia up into 5th. Good start from him as Benny Buna gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit. Relia has made up a load of places. And Brandon as well has got to be really happy as we've got a... Is that a Red Bull? Is it Gunter's gone round? Didn't see what happened. But Brandon's strategy is working out really well for him. He's already up to 6th. He's on the hard tyre. He's on the slower tyre at this moment in time. Although I must admit, having done the practice race here, the hard tyre actually does feel really good in comparison to the medium tyre around here. So, yeah, be happy with his position. Nellboy is within half a second of Jens, so let's join him. I think my timing sheets might have actually sorted itself out now. I'll be able to get a true reflection of where people are on track. We've got Wardy, who is... Let's see if it's true, because Wardy should be on the back of Tom Putty. Looks like Tom run a little bit wide. Yeah, looks like the timers are sorting themselves out, which is great news. Let's jump back on board with Nellboy, who gets the DRS. You can see he's closing in on Jens, who doesn't have DRS. And Ryan hasn't been able to drop them like he did in the early on in the sprint. That might be a tactical thing, as Wardy does manage to get past Tom Putty in the end. You can see just further up the road, Rayliot trying to get on and get past Milko as Bog gets past Tom Putty. I think Tom Putty has come into the pit, he has. So Rayliot trying to make some moves up the field. I think his teammate will... and we've got a Ferrari getting in the way of Nellboy. I'm not sure what that is. Is that Skipper? It is Skipper. Got to be careful when you're rejoining the track. I've seen it a couple of times tonight, and that's hampered Nellboy. Dropped him out of the second of Jens, which he's not going to be particularly pleased about that, especially from a back market. Because Benny's gone on to Inters. So I wonder if he's hearing some rain calls. It's definitely too early to be going on to Inters right now, but I wonder if he's doing it so he doesn't have to pit if the rain does come. I mean, luckily Nellboy's managed to reduce that gap a little bit, but we're going to jump on with Rayliot, who's making some gains through Maggots and Beckett's on Milko, and if he can get this exit right, I think he's going to be all over the back of him by the end of the Hangar Straight. He's going to get the DRS. Let's see what he can do. Let's watch the move. Should get it done before the corner, but it might be side by side. I think he's just got his nose in front. Yeah, and he's through. Milko's going to continue to try and fight it, but Rayliot, brilliant race from him so far, up into 4th. I've got a Red Bull round in Sector 1. I think that might be Gunter. As we see Dopey Man run a little bit wide, but he's now approaching Tom Putty. And again, the closest battle on track, so let's stick with it. Dopey Man trying to recover after, well, not a good start really. I'm not sure if it was his fault, we didn't see it. But he's got some work to do now. Just try and get back into the points. I think what we'll do is jump back up with Brandon, who's closed in on Milko. We see Rayliot get past Milko a little bit earlier. And I must say, Rayliot's pace looks like it's improved quite dramatically, really. I wonder if he's been practicing through the break. I know he was involved in the Nations Cup. So good to see him doing well. He won the Constructors last year with his brother, who has now been promoted up into Division 2. I think he won the championship. I think he even won... I don't know what championship he didn't win, to be honest. But here's Brandon. He's right on the back of Milko. And the bad news for Milko is he's got Wardy having a look at him as well. He's only 4 tenths back, so Brandon makes his way through. And really glad to see that Nellboy has managed to get back within a second of Jens after the Ferrari sort of rejoined the track and give him a little nudge. So glad to see he's back within that second. But we have seen when you get too close, it starts to become very hard to overtake. But the end of the hangar straight seems to be the popular place for it. As you see Wardy just collecting a bit too much curb at turn 3. He's going to have Bog on his tail shortly, who's made his way back up into the points. So Brandon is now going after Reliot. He's closing up quite quickly. And he will want to get past Reliot as soon as possible, as that gap to Nellboy has increased another 2 seconds, I think, in the last 2 laps. So Brandon, to make his strategy work, is going to want to get past and try and close some of that 8 seconds up. He's a long way back, but his strategy is working really well, and we've seen him make some good strategy calls this year. I think he's been a little bit unlucky, made a few mistakes himself, but let's just check Nellboy, because he's just running down the end of the hangar straight. Couldn't quite make it work, but you can see, we say it quite often, Jens's ERS is under 10%. His lights flashing on the back of his car, so Nellboy will have that noted, and he'll be doing his best to try and attack him down one of these straights. As through turn 1, you can see that Nell has to lift off a little bit. With the amount of petrol you got on board, you can't just floor it through there. And we'll see if he can make the moves. Big Up Cam gets past BV Boldy, who's in the pits. And we can see Brandon's just closing in on Reliot, but we're going to stick with this first to see if Nellboy can catch him. He can't. So let's drop back to Brandon, who's going to have a go at Reliot down this back straight. And you can see the overspeed he's got. Reliot with no DRS. And Brandon's going to make that stick early on into the corner. And I think that's perfect for Reliot, really. It doesn't slow him down, as he's going to have Milko joining him. And Reliot's just going to want to try and keep in that DRS of Brandon, but he's already managed to pull 7 tenths out. It's going to be tough to stick with him, I think. But Reliot could do with the protection with the DRS of Brandon, so he'll be gutted if he loses it, and I think he has. I think he's lost it before the hangar straight. So let's stick on board here. Wardy's right on the back of Milko as well, so Bog is just sniffing around behind them as well to see if there's any mistakes. Let's jump on board with him. We can see the action unfold in front of him. So you can see them all with their DRS open. Bog's making his way up to the back of the this chain. Reliot is a bit of a sitting duck with no DRS, but he's going to hang it on the inside. And he looks like he's done a good job of defending so far, as Reliot is side by side with Milko. And Milko manages to take the inside line and get it done. Wardy has to run a little bit wide, but Bog isn't able to capitalise on it, and Bog has got Cass for company behind him, so this is a big chain of cars and they're all trading positions. Milko's now going to be in a bit of trouble without any DRS down this back straight, so we'll see if Reliot can get him back. Sometimes the DRS zone can be used to try and regain a little bit of ERS. You don't necessarily want to be the front car, because you're going to have to use it to try and defend. Is Reliot making any inroads? He is, but it's going to be a little bit late. Wardy's not quite close enough, and Bog's just sat back watching as Cass is starting to put pressure on Bog now. So, big chain of cars. We'll try and sit on with Cass, and see what happens in front, and we'll try and catch the moves as they happen. As thought Wardy was going to try and move, but he wasn't quite close enough. Bog runs a little bit wider. I think Wardy was a little bit wide there as well. It's very easy to follow another car in front of you and pick up a warning, but Cass is very neat through here, and you can see just doesn't quite clip the last apex. Wardy looks like the closest man here, so we're going to jump on with him and see if he can catch Reliot. But Reliot's straight line speed, he was complaining about it earlier on in the Discord chat, but seems to have Wardy covered off. Yeah, seems to have Wardy covered off, and I'm so sorry, but I've missed Nellboy getting through on Jens. That must have happened a few laps ago, or Jens may have made a mistake somewhere, because he is nearly 2 seconds back of Nellboy. So, really sorry, guys, I've missed that. But we have got an interesting battle taking place down here that we can continue to watch. We'll join with Cass again and watch the gaps as they happen. Reliot looks a little bit closer to Milko this time round. But he's not really close enough to make a move, so let's go back to Cass and watch it all unfold. Let's get rid of the tyre choices, just give us a little bit more room. And Nellboy is just closing that gap up to Ryan. I wonder if Ryan has been harvesting some energy, knowing that if an attack came he'd be in a good position to try and pull away. As you can see, Ryan opens a gap up down the straight. That could be due to his wing, could be due to the fact he's drinking some ERS. But everyone here has got their wings open, and I think Wardy, Reliot are both going to be close to Milko here, as Reliot looks like he's making a move down the inside but pulls back out of it. As Bog is now trying to pick up the pieces as Cass dives in, and Wardy, I think, is the other man in. So Bog will be promoted up to 7th, and this fight will continue with 3 cars. So they're going to try the undercut. Let's see if it works for them. It's so hard to get hard tyres up to temperature here. Bog is already on the hard tyres. So Milko picks up a 3-second time penalty. So let's just see what the strategies are of these cars. So Bog was on the hard, Wardy comes in and takes the hard, and so does Cass. So I think Cass would have been trying to clear these, but it takes at least a lap to get those hard tyres up to speed. So the undercut may not work, but when these guys come out on cold tyres, it might just give those guys that have gone in the advantage at that point. But I think Bog will definitely be staying out for a little bit longer, and it might just favour him on the longer strategy. As you can see, Nellboy is very close to breaking that second barrier, and he's on his way down the hanger straight. Don't think he was there in the detection zone, he wasn't. So he's not going to get it this lap, but again, Reliot is all over the back of Milko, and we've got Bog who's just watching that unfold, who gets a really good exit, so he could join these two by the end of this straight. Not quite making the inroads, but Reliot is, and he's about to throw it down the inside, and Milko keeps a lot of overspeed around the outside. So again, good defensive driving from Milko, and Bog is now all over the back of Reliot and gets a really good entry into this chicane. So it's all going to be about the next straight as Brandon goes through on Jens, who is in the pit. So Jens is the first person to pit out front. He's going onto the hard tyre, he's trying the undercut. And we'll see if Ryan and Nellboy decide to react to that. And Nellboy is now within the DRS zone. So he may just want to try and stay out for a bit and maybe recharge a bit of battery behind Ryan. But depends if Ryan comes in. It'd be interesting to see if Nellboy does the opposite, because they've got Jens to think about as well. As Reliot tries to have a look on Milko again. Be interesting to know if he's can you see it on his steering wheel? I think he's got about half his ERS left, so I think he's just trying to reserve a little bit here. I don't think he's completely interested in making the move right now, thinking a bit about the longer gains, because if he takes the lead he then has to start drinking some of that ERS. So sensible driving from Reliot really. And I think Bog's in the same position, so I think they're just doing some harvesting here. And Milko, let's have a look at him. He's done a bit of harvesting as well, to be fair. I think he knows the game of the two behind him, as Bogorowski now is all over the back of Reliot, who is going to try and make a move around the outside. He's got in front for now, and then is he going to try and dip in on Milko? He's not quite close enough, but gets the move on Reliot done. So, and I think Reliot dives in the pits. I think that's it for him on those medium tyres, and Bog moves up into 4th, so Milko must have come into the pits as well. He has. Ryan's in the pit as well, which leaves Nellboy to do the quickest in lap of his life with no ERS in the tank. As racing Ryan, he's coming out the pit, so he's not that close to Bog. just waiting for him to come out of the pit. So Nailboy, let's stick on with him. He's got to push hard on this in lap. See if he can then get the overcut. We know that the boys that are coming out on the hard tyre are going to struggle to warm up. Nailboy will have that same problem when he comes in. But if he can put in a good in lap, he might make the jump. And where's Jens? Jens is in 5th. And he looks like he's come out 6 or 7 seconds back from Ryan. So he's not had the best in lap or out lap really. He's not made the most of that, but Ryan will be struggling for turns. Milko, something's happened to Milko. He's had a spin on those hard tyres, and I did say it's hard to warm them up. Got to be so patient, as Cav and Relia are getting involved in a bit of a tussle, but Relia again will have to be warming his tyres up. And he's got Cass for company, who has managed to warm those hard tyres up. And he was trying to make the jump on Relia a little bit earlier, and it has made it work. And he has made the move on Relia, so that was really important to Cass's race. I can't remember who the other driver was that came in. I think it might have been Wardy, so he's had a good jump as well. He's managed to jump those two in the pit stop, so the undercut is working really well. That's not good news for Nailboy, but he decides to stay out a bit longer. He might be trying to stretch this to a medium soft, but that's very risky. As Brandon finds himself in P2 for now, he took the strategy of going on the hards along with Bob, who finds himself in 3rd. So Racing Ryan is just short of 10 seconds back of Bob. The pit lane is very long here. I think it's a 33-second disadvantage going through the pits. So Nailboy might just be hoping for a safety car, and if he gets that safety car, that'd be perfect for him, as Tom Petty picks up a 3-second penalty. We're on board with Cass, who is fighting Cav for 7th place. Looks like Reliot might have got his hard tyres warmed up, but he has picked up a penalty. And Dopey Man's making his way back into the race. It's a bit oversteery there, but managed to hold it. As Cass and Cav are having a fight. Cass is going to get the outside line, which normally gives you good drive off the exit. Cav gets the inside line, and they're still pretty much side by side, but I think Cass has just got his nose in front. And yeah, I don't think Cav will be chucking his nose down the inside there. We know what happens when that occurs, as he runs a little wide, and Cass gets the move done. So Wardy and Cass have done a brilliant job of the undercut. Nailboy is now in the pits, and he comes out on the hard tyre, so he wasn't trying to make a medium soft work. Let's see where he comes out in relation to Racing Ryan, who's just entering the pit straight now. So this is going to be close, but I think Ryan is going to come out ahead of Nailboy. It's going to be close. He's just coming around this corner now, and Nailboy has made the overcut work. He's going to be on cold tyres, so he may be a bit of a sitting duck, and we've got a Aston Martin that has come off, and I don't think it's Cass. As Bog gets some interference from it, and it must be Benny Buno, but Nailboy is under pressure from Racing Ryan, who has the warm tyres. Is he trying to make the move stick? He puts his nose in there, he can't get round the outside, so Nailboy is just keeping him back with those slightly colder tyres. He's got his teammate just ahead of him. He's going to want to try and use him. If he can catch Bog and get in front of him, it might just give him some clearance, so he's going to be fighting for dear life to try and get those tyres warmed up. And I wonder if Bog might just ease off a little bit so he can get the DRS, and I think he might be. Teamwork. I think he has. What a teammate. What a teammate. Nell hasn't got the DRS though, and he hasn't got much ERS, but he's using Bog for the slipstream. You can see that Racing Ryan had the DRS. Great teamwork as Bog now peels off into the pits. I thought he might try and stay out a little bit longer just to try and act as a barrier for Nailboy, but Nailboy's on his own now, so he's made the overcut work. He's the only one in the field that I've seen that's made that happen. Jens has lost out quite a lot, and I just wonder if his tyre warm-up has punished him. But he has made some inroads into it. He's only 3.5 seconds back. He's got a lot of work to do, but Ryan is all over the back of Nailboy. And Wardy makes his way up. along with Cass and Cav and Reliot because Bog was in the pits. And Bog has actually lost out in that pits, and I wonder if he just stayed out a bit longer to try and help his teammate. But what a team player. He did it for the good of the team as Bog falls back. But if you look at Bog, he's on the medium tyre, so he's on the faster tyre, and he's behind a lot of people with penalties. So this man knows how to race, and he knows he's just got to stick around. And if he can make up a few places and then pick up some places with those penalties, he's going to be more than happy with that. He's helped his teammate out. He's kept him in front of Race and Ryan for now. And I think my intervals are knackered again. Yeah, they are. It's just really frustrating. No, they're not actually, sorry, are they? Because Brandon is leading the race, but he is now in the pit. He's definitely going to get overtaken by these two. As you can see, Ryan pushing Nelboy around the track. And we've got a back marker coming up, which is Benny Buno, I believe, as Race and Ryan sets the fastest lap of the race. Let's see where Brandon filters back out. Jens is just going through on him now. Brandon will be delighted if he can get out in front of the other Alpha. But I don't dare leave this battle in case Ryan is able to make a move. And Brandon will filter out back into fourth. So the strategy's really paid off for him. Good racing from him so far. As Ryan, is he going to have another look at the end of this straight? He's not quite close enough. So Nelboy's straight line speed is pretty good. He's managed to drain Ryan's ERS. And I think... No, he is still flashing. So Ryan's has stopped flashing, so he's got slightly more. As Cav goes in the pits and goes for soft tyre. That's ambitious, I think. Trying to make them last 9 laps is going to be hard work, but worth the gamble. He's going to have to make up some early places very, very quickly. So Ryan looks ever closer with Nelboy with a flashing light. But Nelboy, has he got assistance? No, he hasn't. I thought he might have got some DRS assistance from the back marker, but he looks very strong in a straight line. Ryan is really struggling with DRS to make any gains on him as Gunter gets past Cav. I don't know if that's part of the pit stop. I think it is. So... And Benny's just been given a penalty for ignoring blue flags. He was just in front of this pair. I think he's just left it a little bit too long. I don't think he did anything to hamper them, really. But Nelboy looks like he's got a superior straight line speed, which is making it impossible for Ryan to overtake. But I think Ryan's going to have to think about recharging his battery. But you can see his light is flashing. Might have to think about trying to recharge his battery and then trying to make the move in one lap, drain it, and go for it. They've got 8 laps left. Nelboy's got 8 laps to try and hold on as Bog sets the fastest lap of the race, which is no surprise on those medium tyres, but he's had some brilliant pace around here today, and it would be good to see if he can get himself back up into the points. He's got 5 seconds to find on BB Boldy. Not taking into account the penalties that are there. But let's see if Ryan can... Oh, Ryan's picked up a penalty! We saw it just took too much curb, and that's going to be huge for this race. Nelboy is going to be very happy with that, and even if Ryan gets the overtake done now, Nelboy will just want to stick around with him, and we know he's got the straight line speed to do it. He's done it all race, so if Nelboy can stay penalty free now, he will hope that that is job done. But no commentator curse in here. I'm touching wood for you, Nelboy. But what it does do is brings Jens back into this. So I think it would have been a 3 second because it looked like it was from track limits, and it was a 3 seconds. So it's bringing Jens straight back into this race. He's got to find a second, and he has done it before. So there's no reason why he can't do it again. And with these two fighting, it's more than possible. So just while these these guys make it round towards the hangar straight again. We've got Jens that just needs to make up that second to race and Ryan to nick that second spot. Brandon's had a brilliant race today with his strategy, and he hasn't had anything get in the way of his strategy, which just shows that he's made it work. He's up into 4th. Wardy in 5th made the undercut work really, really well against Cass Reliot. I think it was Bog at the time, and Milko, I think was the other car involved. So he's up into 5th. We've got Cass, and I'm just going to go back to racing Ryan. He looks ever closer on this lap, and he is going to be close enough to put a move down the inside. And that's huge for him. He's now got to try and get down the road. But Nell will know that he's just got to stick with him, as we've got a yellow flag. And it's Milko. He's out on the pit straight again. We saw him there in quali, and it has brought out a safety car, which is not good for Ryan. Jens has gone past the pits. So is Brandon. Wardy is the first car that can make a move into the pits. He's going to go and chuck soft tyres on, but he's picked up a 5-second penalty after a 3-second penalty I think I saw a minute ago. Oh, it's crushed his race. I bet he wishes he stayed out. Oh, it's absolutely gutting when you've worked that hard and that happens. But Cass comes in for soft tyres as well. Reliot's going to come in for soft tyres. He's got a 5-second penalty, but the guys in front have got an 8-second penalty, so he could be looking at a 5th place. But there's going to be some other people that have got things to say about it. Dopey Man, he's in 8th with no penalties, so he's in and around the right group that could just snatch him that 5th place. Be interesting to see what Bog does. I think he has come in. Yeah, he has come in, and he's banging on the soft tyres, and I think that's worth it for him. He's got a lot of people with penalties around him, so he wants to be on the fastest tyre, stick with as many as he can, as Big Up Cam decides to stay out on his hard tyre, and that'll be to try and make up places as Cav comes in for soft tyres. So, I think Wardy was the first man that managed to get out and put soft tyres on. These 4 in front are going to be vulnerable, because I don't think they're going to have time to get in and back out and keep the lead of the race. So, well, we've seen Racing Ryan win on hard tyres before. Nellboy's got the pace. Jens, we know, has got the pace. Brandon, we know, has got pace. He's on medium tyres. He could be in for a win here. If he can get those tyres fired up, he might just be able to pick the 3 off in front of him and come through for what looked like an unlikely win. So this is where strategy for him has paid off this time. So he's going to be very happy. Are any of these guys going to go in? Nellboy is going in. All 3 of them are going in. And Brandon does it as well. That's a really interesting call. I think they're going to lose places. Well, they're only going to lose out to Wardy, who's got an 8-second penalty, so maybe it is the right call. So, well, this safety car has definitely spiced this up. Like, Racing Ryan, with a 3-second penalty, is going to be vulnerable. I wonder if it was worth him diving in and gambling with the 3-second penalty, but he's going to have Wardy behind him with an 8-second penalty. He's going to, I suppose now he can use him and Cass now as a blocker. He's got Dopey Man in their way as well, and look, the guys that have pitted have lost a lot of places. They're not even going to get out in front of Reliot, I don't think. Here's Nellboy in 6th, so it's not too bad for him, but there's a lot of cars in between them. Jens has come out in 9th, and I think these guys are on soft tyres as well. It's just, I just think it was too close. Brandon's out in 11th. I think these guys might have just thrown away a podium here. I think Nellboy really is the only one that can really say he's made it work, and he weren't really that far in front of the others. So it was a really tight call from him as well. So I think Ryan has probably made the right call. Well, we won't know until the race finishes. But I think, well, it's tough, isn't it? I think if Nellboy hadn't have come in, he would have had Wardy, Cass, Dopey Man all behind him on soft tyres. Yeah, it's a tough decision. I wouldn't have liked to have been the drivers making that decision. I think the one thing that we can say for certain is that Ryan has definitely got the pace on hard tyres to keep soft runners behind him. But it's not an easy task. It's the compound Hard versus soft. Well, we're about to see a very interesting finish to this race. Ryan's got 5 laps. He's going to hope he's got the pace on Wardy. That means he can break the second, and if he can do that, it will be so hard for Nellboy to make up all those places and get on the back of him before the end of this race. He's basically going to have to make an overtake a lap. You've got to keep into consideration though the penalties. So Dopey Man is the one he definitely has to get past. Jens has got a bit more of a mountain to climb with BV Boldy and Relia in his way. Well, the safety car has certainly spiced this race up. And it was good enough as it was, to be fair. Got a couple more cars just coming in for their pit. I think Benny, he'll serve his 5-second penalty. And then we've got a Ferrari coming around. I think that must be Skipper. Who they should join up with to the back of the safety car queue. I hope they can get going this lap so we can watch the carnage unfold. So, who are the big movers? Oh, I'm so bad with these menus. Right, Wardy up 11 places, coming off the back of a win at Baku. He's going to struggle to win here with an 8-second penalty, but fair play to find himself that far up the grid. Got to get a move on when this gets going. Cass up 4 places, he has a 3-second penalty. So Dopey Man currently net P1 with the penalties taken into account, who found himself out in a really tough place after the first couple of laps. I think he got involved in an incident that turned him round. Safety car is in this lap, which is good to hear. So Dopey Man's had a great recovery. He's on soft tyres and will be looking to push. He's going to have Nellboy for company. See what Tom can do to try and hold him off. It's all going to be about these guys that have made their way up. How much can they hold the guys that were leading the race up? But we're going to jump on board with Ryan. We're going to get the penalties because that's going to make the difference in this race. Ryan, I think he's going to go out of that chicane again. It makes the most sense around here, unless you want to try and catch people out and go earlier. And Skipper has got a warning for ignoring yellow flags, and he does go out of this corner. And Wardy is equal to it by the look of it. He's not lost too much time. As you can see, Tom Putty is already putting pressure on Dopey Man. Relia has already dropped out of a second from Nellboy. And let's stick with Nellboy and see how quickly he can get up this field. Brandon's through into 10th on Big Up Cam. And here comes Nellboy. He's got to get these done early. So he's looking at Tom Putty. He's going to make the move. Not quite got his nose down the inside, but Tom's giving him some room. And Nellboy takes a bit of a wider line. It's not enough. Tom Putty and Dopey Man look like they're fighting as well. So this is not the best for Nellboy right now. But Wardy has kept within a second of racing Ryan. And Nellboy is now all over the back of him, and he might want to wait, but he doesn't. He wants to get on with it. He does it through into Maggots and Beckett's. Brilliant move from Nellboy. He had to get that done, and he's a second away from Dopey Man, who has then got nearly a second. But Nellboy is already, you know he's quick in a straight line. We've seen it earlier. So Dopey Man is currently P1 based on penalties just. And Nellboy is about half a second back, so we are going to stick with Nellboy and see if he can keep making his way up the field. He's just got to get within 3 seconds of Ryan, and whether that is still behind the guys in front, it doesn't matter. He's just got to stay within 3 seconds of him to win this race. Jens is closing up on Relia, not close enough. Let's see what Nellboy can do out of turn 3 and 4. As I think the gap currently, in fact, let's change it to leader. The time to leader So you can see Nellboy is just inside that 3-second margin. He's got to try and clear Dopey Man if he can. He's got Tom Putty, who's managed to keep up with him and follow him since the overtake. And that 3 seconds is so close. So close. Nellboy is definitely going to want to get round Dopey Man to try and get this done, because at this moment in time, Dopey Man will win this race. Dopey Man will be fighting for his life. But Nellboy has had so much pace around here this afternoon. It's going to be hard to keep him there, but Brandon picks up a 3-second penalty. That's huge. And Nellboy's all over the back of him now. And he's side by side. I think he's going to get the inside line out the back of the hanger straight, and that's going to help Nellboy massively. But Dopey Man's trying to hang it round the outside. Has he got it done? Nellboy is in front. Is Dopey Man going to try and chuck it back down the inside? I don't think he is. Nellboy gets it done. He had to. He's just within that 3 seconds. So he's got to get his foot down now. All he has to do is maintain that 3-second gap to the leader. As Jens is the yellow flag. And he's dropped to the back of the field after such a strong race. Oh, Jens. So disappointed for you. But let's stick with Nellboy, who's currently winning this race from 4th. Wardy hasn't been able to catch Ryan. We know Ryan is quick no matter what compound you put him on. So the 2 boys behind him just haven't made the inroads, and Nellboy knows he doesn't even have to overtake these guys as long as they don't drop 3 seconds back. So all he has to do is maintain this gap, and he wins this race. Dopey Man now struggling to keep up, but Nellboy, his light is flashing. It means he's under 10% ERS. And BB Boldy picks up another penalty. So you can see that Nellboy is just creeping that little bit closer down the straights. And I think he could really do with Wardy closing up to the back of him and having a bit of a fight. But Reliot gets past Tom Putty. He's going round the outside. So good move from Reliot. Tom Putty decides not to try and throw it back up the inside. So let's just go back to interval for now. Actually, no, we're on the last lap. Nellboy puts in the fastest lap of the race. He's within 2.5 seconds. So Ryan, I think he did make the right decision to stay out, but it's not. He's not going to win the race through it. As long as Nellboy can keep it together and these 2 in front of him don't cause anything that means he's not within 3 seconds. It's been a solid race from Nellboy today. He was in pole for qualifying. And Brandon gets through on Tom Putty. Tom tries to fight it back, but Tom's still in the points. He's going to be happy with his day's work, I think. And Nellboy's closing the gap every corner. This is like qualifying for him. He's done a fantastic job. He's made the right calls at the right time. I wasn't sure that soft tyres were going to be the right call, but with the penalties, it was 100% the right call. And he's had the pace all day, and very strangely, from 4th place, he's going to pick up the win. And I think it's his 2nd of the season, as Brandon makes it through on Reliot, but it's not going to stick because of the 3-second penalty. As we come round to the line, Ryan will take the checkered flag, Wardy in 2nd, Cass in 3rd, Nellboy in 4th, but jumps to 1st because of the penalties and chucks in a fastest lap to finish it off for the extra point. So Nellboy, congratulations on your 2nd win of the season. It was a fantastic race from you. Ryan, you will feel hard done by, but again, you just proved you can make anything happen on those hard tyres. Stayed out under the safety car, finishes in 2nd. That won't do too much damage to your championship hope, so good bounce back from Baku. We'll run through the rest of the grid. I think Dopey Man finished off the podium places as Bog picks up driver of the day from the game. And I will pick mine very, very shortly. But we will just recap the grid as we see Nellboy coming out of the tunnel to pick up his winner's trophy. And it was Dopey Man that finished off the podium. So well done to Nellboy. Good racing from Ryan. And good recovery from Dopey Man as well. So Nellboy wins it from 4th place. But if I'm honest, deserves it. Brilliant race today. Made the right call at the right time. Ryan did everything he could to try and hang it out, but the penalty was just too costly for him. Dopey Man finishes up the podiums after a really tough start to the race, and Cass as well. I think he's made up quite a few positions to get 4th. Reliot, brilliant finish from you. You've had a good race today. Looked like you've picked up your pace significantly, so well done for your 5th place. Wardy, off the back of a strong Baku and a win, finishes in 6th. Jens Hoffer in 7th. Hold on a sec. Is that the race? No, I'm talking rubbish. Or is this the same? Oh, I'm lost. No, it's right. Results right. Yeah, okay, this is right. So yeah, I was right, sorry. So Wardy in 6th, Bogorovsky gets in 7th, Brandon in 8th, Guncher in 9th, Tom Putty in 10th after his penalties, Cav 11th. And then, Jens finished in 14th in the end because of the spin at the end. That's how I realised that I was reading the wrong blooming list. So my driver of the day has to be Nellboy. Solid all day. Took advantage of the pole position. Lost a couple of places off the line, but regained them. Made the right call under the safety car. So congratulations. Brilliant racing from everyone. I will join you again next week for more Division 5 action.